Chris Philp.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. It's a pleasure to follow the Honourable Member from Middlesbrough's very thoughtful speech, and it is particularly a pleasure to follow a speech which quotes with approval Margaret Thatcher. Of course, the history of trade unions is an honourable one, arising in the late 19th century when workers were suffering from widespread oppression. And throughout the latter part of the 19th and early part of the 20th century, the trade unions performed a very vital function. It is, of course, worth remembering that many of those functions which trade unions did fulfil are now fulfilled by Parliament, which has, of course, legislated for things like a national minimum wage, provision for sickness and holiday payments, protection against unfair dismissal, and so on. So many of the injustices that trade unions quite rightly fought against at the outset have now been dealt with by Parliament. I would also like to emphasise to the House that the right to strike and the right for trade unions to operate are in no way threatened by this bill. The right to strike still exists, as it absolutely should. Now, the member who just spoke, and the Right Honourable Member for Kingston upon Hull West, who spoke earlier, both posed the question: what is the purpose of this legislation? And the principal purpose of this legislation is to protect people who suffer when strikes take place. Let me quote this lady from Stoke-on-Trent who runs a hairdressing salon and has a child. She said, "It isn't fair on parents who could be missing out on a day's pay by not working when teachers strike." So we should be aware that when strikes take place, it has a very profound effect on other people, other members of society, and that is why it is appropriate that there is a reasonable threshold put in place before strike action is taken. For example, exactly a year ago, Unison's NHS staff voted for strike action on a turnout of 16%, with 11% of the membership voting in favour. Now, I don't think that mandate is strong enough to merit inconveniencing tens of thousands of patients and potentially seeing operations and so on postponed. Furthermore, here in London, again, the Honourable Member for Kingston upon Hull West posed a question: what is the purpose of this? Since 2008, in our city, London, I'm a London Member of Parliament, I've lived in this city all my life, there have been 26 strikes on the London Underground. Anyone who claims the RMT do not strike lightly has not tried to travel in this city during one of their 26 strikes in the last 7 years. And I would point out, just one moment, I would point out that 19 of those 26 strikes would not have happened under this legislation, and I'd be very happy to give way to the member for Hornsey and Wood Green.
Thank you very much. Would he accept, though, that these strikes have tripled since the Tories took over in London in 2008, and it's an absolute disgrace that the Mayor of London has never sat down and met with the trade unions as though they were equal partners and as though they were human beings in the same race?
Well, I would say it's very unfortunate the RMT have chosen to be so confrontational. And as the Honourable Member for Uxbridge pointed out earlier, even his predecessor, Ken Livingstone, only met with the RMT once and insulted them in that meeting. I would also point out that in terms of questions were raised earlier in this debate about the mandate that this legislation has, and I would remind those people opposing this debate that a YouGov opinion poll conducted just 4 weeks ago found 53% of Londoners in favour of these measures and only 26% against these measures. Moreover, I would also challenge the assumption or the assertion made by some members opposite that union activity does not stoke up excessive strike action. It's very instructive to compare private sector days lost in the private sector where there's relatively low union membership with days lost in the public sector where there is more widespread union membership. And you find that the instances of days lost to strike action are 40 times higher in the public sector last year than in the private sector, despite the fact that terms and conditions, pay and holiday and so on, are, in fact, if anything, slightly better in the public sector than in the private sector. So, Mr Deputy Speaker, I'd also like to briefly address the question of facility time. The Taxpayers Alliance have calculated, an organisation that I can see commands widespread support on the benches opposite, has calculated that the effective subsidy to unions from the public purse via this is £108 million every year. Now, the unions don't necessarily need this money. They have plenty of money to make political donations with, and it is not reasonable for the public purse to fund what is often party political activity. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in conclusion, I think this bill is a reasonable, moderate measure which protects people from the often very disruptive effects of strike action.
Steve